Hello everyone, welcome aboard to a new edition of What is the hardware difference between the Boeing 737NG and the Boeing 737MAX. This time we'll be discussing the forward overhead. So fasten your seatbelts, we're ready for takeoff. Okay, so as you can see, to the left we have the 737MAX forward overhead, and to the right the 737NG forward overhead. Remember that we also have a similar video on our YouTube channel showing the hardware difference between the MAX after overhead and the NG after overhead. So if you like this video, don't forget to check it out as well. In this case, there are not so many hardware differences between both forward overheads, but the first one we're going to show you is very evident. At the bottom, on the exterior lights control panel, the MAX only has 2 switches type T, while the NG builds 4. It's made in aluminum, not plastic, which lends it the best quality. Now the fuel control model is the same for both overheads, and I'd like to emphasize that these panels are painted with double layer and that there are no stickers. Everything is paint. All of this is layer engraved, providing the highest quality finished product. Annunciators are plastic injection molded inserted into the panel. Injection plastic knobs, fully operative and following the real specifications of the plane. Next, we go to the gauges section that contains a double needle, while the one at the bottom has a single needle. This panel, as well as the rest of the panels, is screwed with metallic diffuse. The air conditioning controls and indicators panel is also the same as the 737NG forward. This is a toggle switch with locking lever. These are potentiometers, not rotaries, and this is the temp gauge. Now let's talk about the bleed air controls and indicators panel. It has quality buttons, double needle gauge, and regular toggle switches. And it also has 2 types of toggle switches locking lever. These are 3-position switches and these are 2-position switches. Unlike the 737NG forward overhead, the MAX builds just 1 annunciator. The NG has 2 more. The cabin pressurization panel model works properly. Injection plastic knobs, momentary switch, and instructor valve. Returning to the fuel control model, the MAX lights panel is the same as the NG panel. And apart from the toggle switches type T, the rest is the same as the 737NG. It's important to highlight that the APU panel contains an aluminum levered toggle switch. The knobs from the engine start are magnetic rotaries, which means you have to push so you can rotate it, and it automatically goes off. The AC and DC metering panel is also the same for both forward overheads. Notice that these knobs have a white line instead of a black one. The real plane has the same white line knobs. And as we said before, everything is fully operative and ready to be used. High quality buttons that give much robustness when pressing. Both 737NG and MAX have this next panel. This is a 3-position switch and the red ones are momentary switches, as you can see. This is the ground, power and bus switching panel. It is painted with a few layers so it doesn't damage over time. Momentary switches. The wiper section has a common rotary, but here we find a slight difference between the NG and the MAX. Additionally, the 737NG includes the EGT gauge. Here we have the reading light front panel, fully operative, and the 737 MAX central control panel is quite different from the 737NG. It mainly has a different annunciators and models distribution. This panel is very similar in both cases, but the MAX doesn't build its HUD test button anymore. In the case of the anti-ice, the MAX has two more annunciators, although both have locking lever switches and a magnetic switch that has an automatic manual operation. The hydraulic model has toggle switches with locking lever as well. As we see, the MAX annunciators panel has one less annunciator. The cockpit voice recorder works just correctly, but it isn't very useful in terms of the simulation. Then we have the 737NG navigation control panel, which is the same as the MAX. And lastly, at the bottom of the 737NG flight control model, there are only 4 annunciators, while the MAX has actually 5. Now let me show you the quality of our switches. Right here we have an original plain switch, and on the right, the one Sismo built. You can see the similarities and feel the high quality. Both are toggle switches with locking lever and metallic caps. The length has the same dimensions. The purpose of this company has always been to make the most professional, top quality products of the market and as accurate as possible. And here's proof. Basically, that was it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel and turn notifications on for more content like this. See you in the next video. Bye bye.